So Funny, please ask her to join, no?
Okay, for 2 minutes. It's a good part.
Okay, okay. Hi, good morning. Funny, please check now.
Yeah, Narasimha. Narasimha, we expected one more participant, Shravanti.
That's what I'm waiting for her to join.
Yeah, we drop in message and email already waiting for the update.
Oh, she has
Is
come.
she joining?
I think we can start now.
Yeah, okay, can start.
Thank you. Yeah, hi, Seventh. Good morning. Seventy, can you hear me?
Hi, good morning.
Oh, we joined through phone, huh? Fine.
Let
Okay
me
then. So,
disconnect this. Okay? So,
yes. So, let us get started, guys. Today is just going to be the introduction session about Informatica Cloud. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you all could able to see my desktop, right? Yes or no? Yes. Let me try to
Yeah, I can see. I can see.
let me open the presentation. So remember, Informatica Cloud is one of the what I call popular and emerging tool that we have in the market to take care of information management activities in the cloud space. Yeah. So it has got most of the features supported in on-prem environment, like we have in on-prem Power Center, data quality, MDM, archive, all that, right? Most of them would also be supported in this particular what cloud environment also. Yeah. So let us start with one of them, which is what Informatica Cloud data integration. Yeah. So and then once we complete that, we would also talk about application integration, where we could see like how can we make multiple applications to talk to each other. Yeah. So that's going to be the second microservice that we are going to focus as part of this particular training program, right? So yeah, the main reason why people are thinking to get into this particular cloud environment, because one, we don't need to install, and second, we don't need to maintain, and third, we don't need to configure, and so we can save a lot of headaches. Apart from that, if you think from data integration perspective, so Informatica offers many templates within this cloud environment, so using which customers they themselves can build a solution without having much dependency with what developers. That's also one of the reasons why most of the customers are trying to migrate from on-prem environment to cloud environment. That is going to be the starting point. Now, let us try to understand what you call the architecture that we could think of in this particular uh, Informatica Cloud. Yeah. I hope all of you could able to see my desktop. Yeah. So this is a starting point. I'll talk about this architecture in an incremental approach rather than what we call getting into direct complicated architecture of Informatica Cloud. Yeah. The first level of understanding this Informatica Cloud is that so we could able to say there are two layers over here. Yes or no? One is a cloud layer which is in the top, and second in the on-prem layer which you can see in the bottom. Yes or no? Yeah. So in cloud layer one, we can see what for data. So cloud data, or we can say cloud storage based tools like we have Amazon, Salesforce, Google, Netflix. There are many, right? Where we can use those cloud providers in order to take care of storing the data or retrieving the data. Remember that. That is for storage media, not for processing, right? Next, on the left side, we could able to see what Informatica Cloud, where we could make use of it in order to store our metadata, because whatever activity that we do within this cloud environment, we have to get it stored somewhere, right? Like for example, if we perform any ETL activities, result of ETL with respect to metadata will be stored somewhere. That's where we use Informatica Cloud repository. Informatica Cloud repository. So who is going to maintain that? Informatica. That's what I just said earlier. So Informatica take the responsibility of installation, configuration, maintenance. So which includes even what metadata. We don't need to maintain the metadata within our local system. So we, let us say, build some ETL activities. If you just say save, it will be saved under what? Informatica Cloud repository, which will be taken care by Informatica itself, which we don't do it. Yeah. Now, when you run it, again, we can pull metadata and start making the data to be flown from cloud to on-prem, on-prem to cloud, on-prem to on-prem, or cloud to cloud. Any combination we can think. In simple terms, so there is an agent which is going to help us in order to perform the data movement. For example, if you take local environment, we've got multiple services, right? Like data integration service, power center integration service, and they have been designed in order to perform what? The data movement. Yes or no? No? So similarly, in cloud environment, so we'll have to install one agent, which we call secure agent, which is going to help us to perform what? Data movement from on-prem to cloud, or any from anywhere to anywhere, just to make it very simple. That's it. So in simple terms, there are three broader layers in this particular architecture. One is a cloud layer, and second on-prem layer, and third is what? Agent. That's it. So agent will act as a mediator between what? The cloud and on-prem, because it knows like how to take care of metadata. It also knows how to take care of data transfer. That is why agent is going to play very key role in the context of what? Informatica Cloud. Yes or no? Yeah. So that's it. So this is a simple way to understand how broad level architecture of Informatica Cloud is going to work. Yeah. It's a request from my side. In case if you get any kind of questions, right, you can always stop me and ask questions at any time. Yeah. Sravanti, Venkat, and Ajit. Yeah. Yes or no? You can stop me at any time and start asking questions, right?
Sure.
Yes. So that's the starting point. Yeah. Just to summarize, there are three layers here: cloud, on-prem, and agent. Yeah. Broadly, mainly two layers, cloud and on-prem. An agent is going to help us to make these two layers to talk to each other. Just remember that. Yeah. Now let's extend this now. So if this is the first step we need to understand, guys, before we get into next level. Yeah. Now we can see firewall. Remember, when we have an agent, we need to what? Protect that particular agent from outsiders. Yeah. So one way of protecting this particular agent is through what? Firewall. Yeah. And second way to protect agent is what? Second level of protection, which is a proxy. So we can use firewall plus proxy settings. One, to protect agent, and second, we can also protect data also. So both of them will be protected from outsiders by what you call by using a firewall and proxy. How proxy is not shown in this diagram. I'll show like how one can able to configure the proxy so that we can have protection for both agent as well as what? Data. That's it. Yeah. So because if you look at the customer's perspective, right, they will look at how much productive we are with respect to what? Data. Especially if we talk about financial industries like banking industry or stock market or any other financial industry, that where they'll try to emphasize towards protection of their data. Yeah. So that is why one firewall, second is what? Proxy. On top of that, we got some more production techniques like authentication, authorization mechanisms. I'll talk about it as we go on. Yeah? So this is a first level of understanding architecture. Now, let us talk about same architecture, but here we can see one extra point here. What is that? Can you see integration as a service? Remember, let us say if you take a cloud, everything would be expressed in the form of what? Services. Example, here you can see integration, which means let's say we are going to focus on to perform ETL operations or data integration operations. So data integration operations would be accomplished as a service. So which means when you log on to this data integration service, we could able to perform all the capabilities of what you call ETL offered by Informatica. Remember, yeah. So that's it. Similarly, we got multiple microservices offered by Informatica, like data profiling, data quality, application integration, MDM as a SaaS, which is software as a service. All that they are going to work as a SaaS, which is software as a service. So what is software here? Integration as a service. That's it. And then data quality as a service. Likewise, everything would be expressed in the form of what? A service. So let's say we are going to focus on integration. Integration also is going to act as what? A service. So rest of the things are same as what we discussed. Let me try to recap. On the right side, we can see the cloud layer. On the left side, we could able to see on-prem layer. Yes or no? I repeat, right side we can see the cloud layer. On the left side, we could able to see what on-prem layer. Yeah. So now we could able to what you call look at the 1, 2, 3, which means when you run any ETL activity, right? First, it is going to pull the metadata from Informatica Cloud. Then it is going to get executed in the agent. Then result of that will be transferred to a target. Let's say Salesforce or any other cloud storage media. That's it. So that's what we can see in this particular what you call diagram. Similarly, we can see there is a solid bidirectional line with arrow, right, which indicates what data transfer can take place from on-prem to cloud or cloud to on-prem. That's what it means. And we can also say imaginary line, right, or dotted bidirectional line with arrow, which indicates what? If you try to build some ETL activities, right, in the local, if you save it, it will be saved in Informatica Cloud repository. When you run it, we pull metadata from Informatica Cloud repository and start making the data to be flown from cloud to on-prem or whatever. So that is why we can see bidirectional data line with arrow. Clear, right? Why we have bidirectional line with arrow for data, which is solid line, for metadata, which is a dotted line. Clear, guys? This is a very, very simple if you try to understand it. If not, we'll go somewhere else. Yeah? So that's it. Next, yeah, same architecture only, but there is one extra point here. So I've just kept separate slides so that you can understand the specific points with a what I call well clarity, so that there would not be any confusion. So in this diagram, we'll try to focus on what kind of protocols that we use. One, with respect to metadata. Second, with respect to data. I repeat, what kind of protocols that we are going to use. One, to take care of metadata, and second, to take care of what? Data. Yes or no? No. For example, let us say for metadata, it uses what? HTTPS protocol, which is hypertext transfer protocol, which works in what? Secure mode, right? But when it comes to data, it supports three protocols. One is not listed here. One, HTTPS. Second, SOAP, which is standard object access protocol or adapter protocol. There's a one more protocol which is REST, which is representation state transfer protocol, which means if you want to transfer the data from local to Salesforce, whatever, cloud to local, whatever, right? So we have to have the protocol usage. Example, either HTTPS or SOAP or REST. Yeah, which means what? If we have any external application which has got support for one of these protocols, sorry, then only we can talk, or else we cannot. So that's it about this protocols part. For example, when you perform some ETL activity, when you save it, right, metadata, that metadata will be stored in this Informatica Cloud repository, right? When you configure something like adding a user, we configure, right? This will be stored in this Informatica Cloud repository. Now, when you integrate with a third party admin activities, right, or define global properties, in that case also, they'll be stored in this Informatica Cloud repository, like driver details or any other global properties. Yeah. Next, business data. Let us say we need to read the data from some portal application, which works based on what? HTTPS protocol. In that case, this particular agent knows how to talk to HTTP-based application to pull the data and push it to what? Any local storage media. So the agent will take responsibility of that. That is why Informatics is very specific on what kind of protocols supported by Informatica. Clear, right? This is here we are trying to emphasize only protocols part. First is what? General architecture. Second is what? As a service. Third is what? Protocols usage. I hope it is clear, right? Yes or no? Once this is clear, we'll get into what? Next step. We'll go slowly. We'll try to understand each and every point clearly, guys. If you get stuck with something, with some questions, you can always shoot out at any time. So, any questions from anybody so far? So, Ajit, Venkat, Shravanti.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm good.
fine. Now we need to start getting into what I call another level of understanding of architecture, which is this one. So, it contains what I call some more activities, but I'll talk about it in the next session because too many things in one session. Uh, so, you may not be able to digest it. I'll explain that in detail in the next session. Before we get there, I'll try to show like how to log on to this particular tool and see what kind of activities supported by this particular Informatica Cloud environment. Right? So let us talk about, see here, in order to get into this, first we need to subscribe this particular Informatica Cloud. Remember, Informatica Cloud is going to work based on what? Subscriber model, which means we can subscribe, which means we can register and start getting into that particular link. We can say web. Example, I'm just applying web link, right? Then we can supply username and password and get into this Informatica Cloud. Yeah. Broadly speaking, we use a term IICS. Can you see in the title bar? Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. Why we use this particular name? Because services meaning a long running process which will be up and running. Example, data integration is a service example, right? So which means this particular data integration is ready to what you call accept any kind of request and start getting it serviced. That is why we use everything as a service, like a data integration as a service, data profiling as a service, data quality as a service, and so on. That is why we use it what? They use a term service. Now, these services are working, can work in what? Cloud. That is why they use what? Cloud keyword. They're intelligent. Remember, this particular Informatica Cloud services, they are based on what? Artificial intelligence. So, which means the kind of underlying architecture that will be used by these services is what? Based on Claire AI, CLAIR AI. So that's what they named it. So which means in simple terms, it is based on what? Artificial intelligence. And this product is offered by Informatica. That's why we got a name, which is Informatica. So this is the what we call meaning of each and every word. Now they change it to what? IDMC, which is Informatica Data Management Cloud. I'll come to that later because when you say data and talk about some more points that you could able to understand as we go on. Now it is too early to talk about the definition of data at this point in time, right? So now let us start getting into one of the microservice, which is what? Data integration. Yeah. I just clicked on that. That's it. So we can just log on to it and start performing any kind of what you call ETL activities. Yeah? Yes. Today, let me talk about one practical example, which is going to be what? Like how one can start pulling the data from third party portal application and start getting it transferred to a local file, right? So, whatever theory that we discussed in this architecture, right, we are going to do it practically by using what? Data integration microservice. Clear, right? So to do that, first and foremost thing, we need to understand what is the portal application. So let us say there is a Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I usually take a simple third-party portal application where they expose one particular freely available service. We as a user need to know from Informatica Cloud perspective, like how to talk to this particular web service to avail the capabilities supported by this particular web service, right? So let us click on that. So remember, if you want to pull the data from third-party web service, so we have to have either XML, so we have to have a definition, right? So which means structure. Yeah. So as we all know that if you take any data, like I take simple example, C1, C2, C3, simple flat file I'm taking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever data. Now, this is the data. This is what header. Now, if you want to read the data, then we have to have what? Metadata. We all know that, right? So in this case, metadata is what? C1 with a type of integer, C2 with a type of integer, C3 with a type of integer. Now, when you want to pull the data, then C1 equal to 1, then C2 equal to 2, then C3 equal to 3. This is for first row. Similarly, same thing will be repeated for second row. C1 equal to 4 and C2 equal to 5 and C3 equal to 6. Likewise, it goes on. So this way, we could able to what take care of metadata and also with what data. That's it. I hope it is clear, right? Yes or no? Similarly, same concept holds good even if you want to pull the data from what third party portal application. Yes or no? No. So in this case, to pull the data from third-party application, we have to have metadata. What is the metadata? In the context of web-based applications, one, we can use metadata in the form of what? XML, which is extended markup language. And second, we can use metadata in the form of what? XSD, which is so XML schema definition, or we can also use DTD, which is document type definition, or we can also use WSDL, which is web services definition language. Remember that. These are the multiple ways through which we can specify what we call structure or a definition, or we can say JSON also, JavaScript object notation. But XML, JSON more or less same. That's why I kept it in one place. That's it. So this is how we can represent the structure. Now let us start with one of them. I'll talk about all of them as we go on. Let us start with one. Web services definition language. Yeah. So let us see what kind of WSDL we have and see what does it contain so that we could able to pull the capabilities from this portal application. Example, one of the conversion. So here we got, as we discussed earlier, this particular Informatica Cloud supports what protocols like SOAP protocol, and we can also see what HTTP protocol. Yes or no? Yeah. I repeat, this Informatica Cloud supports two protocols, three actually. So let us say in this case, it supports two, SOAP as well as HTTP. So we can use any of these protocols to avail the capabilities of what we have within this third-party portal application. Now, the next question, from the user's perspective, we need to have the metadata, which is WSDL. See, we can type WSDL's argument here so that we could able to see the metadata over here. So, web services definition language. So why we call web service definition language? Language is what? Pre-built set of instructions. Definition means a structure or metadata for what? Web. That's what W we use. And service, because see, if you say web, if you want to access some third-party guy, right? It should be up and running. If it is up and running means we call it as what? Service. Service is a long-running process that should be up and running. Once it is up and running, right? Anybody can make use of that particular service. That's why we use the term yes here. So that's why the name WSDL. It's clear, right? So I'll talk about each and every technical word. Yeah, if you don't understand, ask question, guys, so that I'll answer it in detail. Yeah. So in this case, see, in WSDL, mainly we need to understand one, attributes, and second, what? Operations. In this case, we can say Celsius to Fahrenheit. One, request. See, any web-based applications, right? If you want to request, you will have HTTP request example. Then if you want to get the response from HTTP-based application, then we have to have a response. This is a common thing for any what you call web-based application, and those web-based applications would work based on servlets or JSP or some other technology, which we don't need to worry from Informatica perspective. What we need to worry, what I can request and what do you get it from that. Only two things. In this case, this is a request, is a response. Yeah. Now input. Can you see here? If you supply Celsius, then you'll get what? Fahrenheit result. And if you supply Fahrenheit, you'll get what? Celsius result. That's all. Now operations. So what kind of operation that we use it here? Simple. So we have got two operations, right? Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. Can you see here? Fahrenheit to Celsius. If you supply Fahrenheit, you'll get Celsius value. If you supply Celsius, you'll get Fahrenheit value. These are two operations. One is this, other is this. That's all. Only two things. We just need to know what is operation and what should be supplied as input. That's all we need to know. So this is about WSDL part. I hope it is clear. Yes or no? Huh? Input and then operations. I'm just summarizing it. Input is what? Either Celsius or Fahrenheit. Operations are what? Conversion functions like Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. I'll talk about some more complicated examples as we go on. We are just starting with what? Very elementary examples so that everyone could able to understand, because this is starting there, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So that's it. Now the next question, how we can make this particular WSDL that will be understood by Informatica Cloud. To answer that, so we need to create a component within this Informatica Cloud. Yeah. So to do that, let's go to new and select what? Components. Remember that. So now we are talking about web-based operations, right? So we need to create what? Business service, or we can say web-based service definition. That's it. Click on create. You can clearly see the description, like what it does. Configures operations in a business service, then use this business service in a mapping for web services transformation. So we have got one transformation, which is going to help us to pull the data from third-party portal application, which is web services transformation. For that, we are trying to create a definition which will act as a mediator between portal application and web services transformation. That's it. Click on create. Through this business service only we can talk to portal application. But to process, right, we use web services transformation. For example, business service to perform some conversion. I'll just put conversion here. So for general, I'll put. So now we can create new connection. Let's say we are doing it from the scratch. Click on new and supply the connection name, which is web service connection for conversion, which is, let's say, general, right? And supply the description here for conversion. Fine. So conversion general here, yeah. And select a type, which is WS consumer. So we need this connected type in order to get connected to third-party web service. But anyway, this comes along with this Informatica Cloud product. Yeah. Now remember, we talked about this agent, right? Can you see agent here? So we need to select it. So like we talked about the agent, right? So that we need to install. We'll see how to install it. So we need to select it here. Next, authentication. See, to talk to third-party portal application, right? Some are freely available services without any authentication. Some would require some authentication. Whatever we are using here, it doesn't require any authentication. That's it. That's why we have selected what? Other authentication. Fine. Other things we'll see. And then WSL URL. So WSL, I think we talked about. URL means Unified Resource Locator, which means this link is what we call URL, right? Copy this and paste it here. That's it. Similarly, endpoint URL. So that's it. Once we do that, say what? Okay. That's all we need to do. And then save it. Yeah. Okay. This is how what you call now we can select a connection, which is a web service connection. Inside that, we have seen operations, right? Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? Those things need to be selected here. For that, click on select operation. So, and click on select. Here we can see operations supported by third-party portal application. Yeah. See here. So we can see here Fahrenheit to Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit. These two operations are based on what? HTTP, and last two operations are based on what? SOAP protocol. So please select one and click on select. Yeah. And then say okay. Similarly, we can also select another operation, which is Celsius to Fahrenheit. This one. And click on select. And then say okay. That's all. And then save it. That's all. Now, what we did, we have just created one interface which will be understood by Informatica Cloud to talk to portal application, which we call a business service definition here. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes or no? It is very simple. Initially, you'll feel difficulty. Once you get used to it, it's very, very simple, guys. Yeah. So, Ajit, Venkat, and Sravanti. Okay. Any questions from anybody so far? Venkat, Sravanth, and Ajit. I hope all of you could able to hear me, right? Yes or no?
Yeah. No
Yeah,
questions.
yes.
So now the next step is what? How to make use of this particular what business service so that we could able to avail the conversion result. To do that, we need to build a mapping. So let us build a mapping. So go to mappings and click on create. Yeah. So this is similar to any other ETL tools where we can see what toolbar in the right top, like save, run, undo, redo, whatever. And we can see arrange, delete, cut, copy, paste, zoom in, zoom out. Then in between, we can see this is a mapping designer workspace. What you can see here, right? On the left side, which is just like what a toolkit or we can say transformations palette. Yeah. In the bottom is properties window. For example, for source, we can see properties. For mapping, we can see properties. For target, we can see properties. For link, we can see properties here. That's it. Yeah. So properties window, we can see in the bottom. And the right bottom, we can also see there are three buttons here. One for restoring, and second to maximize, and third to minimize. That's it. This is how this particular data integration service has been organized. Yeah, it's a layout, you can say. This is a restore. Yeah. Next, let us try to configure what ETL. So E we have it here, and L we have it, and T we are trying to use what web services transformation. Yes or no? Yeah. So because we need to get the service offered by this portal application, right? Now, so we just configured the component, which is what a business service definition. Yeah. Let us try to point to that from web services transformation. So to do that, maximize this and go to web service. See here, there is a business service. That's why we configured business service first. After that, we got into this building a mapping. Now click on select, where we can see some project folders. We can create n number of projects. So this one we created, right? Business service, conversion, gender. We can see tooltip, right? Yes, sir. And we are trying to select it here, right? Click on select. Now, once you select within that service, we could able to see two operations here. One is a Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? Select it, and then we need to get the Fahrenheit value or Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we can supply Celsius as input. We can get what Fahrenheit as a result. We'll see one by one. Let us take one. Next, so we need to get Celsius value from the source, right? For that, we need to go to source and configure the source. See, the Celsius values can be obtained from database table or an application or from flat file or from anywhere. So for the sake of simplicity, we can get it from what? Let's say flat file. Yeah. So click on source, where if you already have pre-built connections which are already configured, right, we can just use those connections and then get one of the field as what Celsius value. Yeah. So, or if you don't have any connection here, let's say we are doing it from the scratch, then click on new connection because it's the first session, right? So now define what source connection or source file connection. Yeah. So which is, let us say, uh, flat file. Yeah. Next, we can have a definition here. Sorry, description. So SRC connection or file connection. Then we can select what type of this connection. So this is going to be what? Flat file. So we'll talk about others later, like database, all that. Let us say we are starting with what? Flat file. Yeah. Remember, if you want to talk to any source or any target or any other portal application, so we always have to go through with what? An agent, which is runtime environment, where we can select this particular agent. Because again, I'm going back to architecture. Without agent, we cannot do anything yet. Middle one, right? Secure agent. Here also we can see agent. So here also you can see agent. Wherever you go, right? Without agent, there is no way of one configuration of a mapping or any ETL stuff. And second, what? Data transfer. For both meta and data, we have to have an agent. Yeah. Now specify the target where we have got this particular input data. So in my system, I've just kept the source files in this particular location, which is C source. So that is why. So we have just given C source here. That's it. On date format, code page, it's whatever format that you want, you can just specify. MMDDYYY is the default format. Code page is what? Microsoft Windows Latin. Yeah. Then click on test. Yeah. See, it is successful. We need to make sure that the connection is successful and then say OK. So that's it. Now, once we have this connection configured within the source, we can pull data from any simple file. I usually use seq1.txt where we could able to see multiple what I call rows over here. So this one of the column is, let us say, Celsius column data, which can be mapped to as input to any operation so that we can get the result, right? So now let us try to get that file to this Informatica Cloud. How? If you call back again this what architecture, right? This is the one we are using, local file. So from agent, we are trying to pull the data from the local file. Then once you pull it, we can also transfer it to what? Another file or another database. Local to local transfer, we are trying to do it now, right? So now select a file by searching here SAQ. See here SAQ1.txt and then say OK. Click on preview data. Make sure that we could able to preview it without any problems. See, C1 has got C1, C2, C3 has got 8 rows total. Yes or no? So which indicates what? Our environment is right, which means we could able to get the data from on-prem to what? The cloud environment, which is Informatica Cloud environment. Yes or no? Sravanti, Venkat, and Ajit.
Yeah, Nurse. I'm good.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let us say if you want to change any formatting options like file type, here we are using delimited file and delimiter is comma in our source file, right? Yes or no? In case if you have anything other than that, we can just get it changed here. Then we have got row delimiter by default new line and text qualifier, which means every field value will be enclosed with what? Double quotes. If you don't want it, if you are sure about what you're doing, you can also go with what? None. But the best practice is what? It is always advisable to enclose every field value within a double quote. Because what happens is sometimes you'll have multiple words within a single field. In that case, there'll be some confusion, which means though it's a single field, it might get splitted into what? Multiple subfields. To avoid that, if we enclose every field in a double quote, that kind of confusion would not occur, right? Next, escape character. Remember, guys, when you try to pull the data from source system, there could be some special characters like apostrophe and so on, which need to be skipped out while transferring data to a target. To do that, we can specify the special characters over here so that the data will not be transferred for those special characters. Then field labels. See, import from row 1, meaning what? First row would be treated as what? Header row. For example, in our case, we got first row that contains what? Field names. We can call it as what? Header line. So in case if we have data line from the first, right, here you can specify what? 1 rather than 2. From second line, we are going to treat it as what? Data line. That's it. Now you can just watch for some time and ask questions in these formatting options.
Can you specify multiple escape characters there?
Yes. So let's say apostrophe, comma, some other character like that. Yes, you are right.
Or they should be separated by any comma or like.
Yes, separated by comma. You are right. Yeah. Apostrophe is the first character, comma, some other special character like that. Yeah. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Then say okay. Yeah. And yeah, once you start getting into hands-on, right, you'll get lots of questions so that you can ask more. Yeah. Say done. That's all. So now we know how to create a flat file connection and how to supply the input file, which is SEQ1 here. Now source type, we are using single object for now. I'll talk about others later because too many things. If I talk about first day, right, you'll get into confusion. So now if you go to fields, here we could able to see 3 fields with a string type. Yes or no? Yeah. Now these are all strings, right? But we are trying to perform numeric operations like Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. To do that, we can just change the type. Like for example, go to options. Can you see options and select what? Edit metadata. And you'll get the recording after the session, right? You can just play the recording. Slowly we'll understand. You can understand. Prepare questions, ask those questions in the next session. Yeah. So now can you see here you can change the type from string to integer or whatever. Yeah. So that's it. Let us say we are going to make use of C1 as input to what? Web service. Yeah. Other columns, let's say we are not going to use it. So there is no need to change from string to something else. Right? Anyway, I'll talk about other properties later on because first day I'll not, it's better not talk about everything, right? Next, now source part is done. Next, we need to go to what? Web services to get the data. So now incoming fields, we got 3 fields, and now web service, I think we have already configured, right? It's a business service. Next, we need to request, which means, as I said earlier, for any web-based application, you will have what? Request and response, which means we can ask for something by sending what? HTTP request, in this case, HTTP request with the Celsius values input. Expand request structure. Can you see this guy is going to take Celsius as input. So map C1 to Celsius. Yes or no? Yeah. Clear? So now we got a Celsius input. If you have too many, what I call fields, so you can just specify filter value. If you don't want it, we can see all. So green tick mark indicates what? We have mapped it. That's the C1 got mapped to what? Celsius. You can see source.c1. This is a source and C1. Source is a name, right? Name means name of the source. Where do we have it? This is a one. This is source. Yes or no? From that C1 column. Yeah. C1 is a one of the field or column. Yes or no? Expand it. You can see C1 column. Yeah. See, we need to understand every bit of it, guys. Remember that. No? There should not be any question once you understand this topic. Remember this. So we need to get into that level of understanding. Yeah. Next, we can go to response, which is HTTP response. Yeah. On the left side, we can see what we are going to get the return values on web service. Yes or no? So select envelope and map all descendants. You know, in the sense, all the innermost elements of this particular what web service. Yeah. Yes or no? Yeah. Clear, right? Yes or no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can see Celsius to Fahrenheit result. That's what we are going to get. Because we gave Celsius as input, we are going to get Fahrenheit value. Yeah. See, now we are trying to convert this WSDL format to what? Simple relational or flat file format. Yeah. So in this, we could able to see two groups here, envelope group, where we can see the response, and fault group, where in case if the web service transformation is going to throw some errors, so we need to capture those errors. Where do we capture it? By using what? Fault group. Within that group, we could able to get fault code, a reason, all that. We'll see that later. For now, you can just remember that faults or errors can be captured in this separate group. That's it. Yeah. Now, if you look at this output fails, here we can be able to see two groups, and we are going to focus on this one, which is Celsius to Fahrenheit result. Yeah. So that's it. After that, we can map this to what? A target. Here, let us say we are going to capture the result from envelope group and then say okay here. Yes or no? That's it. This is a one, what I call what I call target. Similarly, we can also add one more target, which is second target, where we can capture the faults, yeah, by using what? Fault group. Look at here. Because web service transformation is going to give us two outputs. One, false, and second, normal result. Yeah. Because we never know what could happen, right? That is why if there are any faults generated by web service transformation, those faults will be captured in a second target, right? Now, let us try to configure one by one target properties, right? I think we talked about how to create a connection, right? Similarly, so flat file connection we did know. For the target also, we can do the same thing. Let us say if someone has already created this, we can make use of it. Because in the earlier example, we have created. In this, we are trying to use it. I'm trying to cover both. One, the usage given by somebody, and second, create and use both. Yeah. Now let us try to click on select and supply the target file name. Yeah. And click on create new at runtime. Here we can specify. Yeah. So, yeah, let us say we have Celsius to Fahrenheit, right? So C to F. What are doing here? we are going to capture false. Yeah. From where? From web service transformation. See here. So we need to make it very meaningful. That's it. See, C to F conversion. If you have any false, from where? Web services. That's it. That is the first target. Similarly, we are going to configure the second target, which is a normal target. This one, right? Click on it, maximize it, and configure the target. So we need to repeat the same procedure as earlier. So please select the connection, like whatever connection that we configured, and click on select, which is going to be the target object. Yes, here we can specify again C to F. We are going to get what? Response. Yeah. So response from where? From web services transformation, right? Dot txt. That's it. And then say okay. To be precise, we need to give HTTP response because we are using HTTP protocol, right? That's it. After that, we can supply the mapping name. So mapping underscore web services, web service to perform Celsius to Fahrenheit based on HTTP protocol. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's what we are doing, right? And then save it. And the location is what? Default location where we are storing this. We can also create our own project and folder. Inside that also we can store it. I'll talk about it as we go on. Yeah. Now our mapping is ready to use and we saved it. See, the mapping is what? Valid. Yeah. So this is going to be the static configuration. Now let's go back to architecture and get it mapped. So first one we talked about, right? In this case, what we did, so using agent, we just clicked on save. So it is going to store where? Informatica Cloud repository, which is metadata. Yes or no? That's what we did. Now, when you run it, it is going to pull metadata and transfer data. That's all we are going to do next step. Yeah. So now run it. When you run, it pulls metadata from ICR, which is Informatica Cloud repository. Yeah. And then click on next. See, we need to select this agent, which is local agent. Yeah. And this is a mapping we selected, right? This is a preview. See whether whatever preview that we are seeing is right or wrong. If yes, click on run. That's it. Yeah. Now my jobs is just like a monitor where we can see the status of this particular mapping. That's it. Now it is under the process of execution. Meantime, if anybody has got any questions, you can shoot out. It takes some time.
So for each path in the target, right? Should we create a separate connection or like with one connection we can update the path?
In both, it's possible in both the cases. One connection, we can use two separate files, Venkat. Let's say target is C target. Within that, we can capture false. We can also capture response. That's one
For
thing.
example, I want to store that data in a different path, right? It should
Then
be a
in that
separate
case,
connection.
yes, exactly. If it is a different path, no, connection is different. You are right, Venkat. For example, let's say one connection is a cloud, then cloud connection. The second is, let's say, local connection, Venkat. Yeah.
Okay.
Or that's a local, right? False, let's say one directory, and normal one some other directory. In that case, also separate connection. Venkat.
Separate connection. Yeah,
That's one thing.
okay.
And another way is what? We can also parameterize. Yes or no? In that case, we can use same connection details, but in parameter file, we can only change the folder name depending
Okay,
upon
the directory
what
name. Okay.
exactly. That way also we can take it. It all depends on how we define as part of the project. Venkat? Okay, that's a good question. Any other questions, Sravanti and Ajit?
There is no concept of source qualifier queries. Like normally, if we wanted to get like time boxed data from the source, we get the data
Yes,
like there will be some SQL like proper Informatica Power Center I'm talking about. How
same
that
thing.
works, right? Over here
Here
also,
also we
if
can, yes. Here also, for example, let's say we got a source. Let me just show it. Here also we can have the source qualifier. So where we can see advanced option where we can just override the default here. So we need to specify the connection. So example SQL connection where see pre-SQL. Here you can just override. Sorry, this
okay,
is one option. And no, pre-SQL, bottom we can see SQL override. This is equal to what source qualifier. The source qualifier we do the same thing, right? We override the default properties. Yes or no? Yeah.
yeah,
So this where we can take care. So we don't have
no,
separate transformation as such here, but within source itself, we can take care of it. Seventy.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So it is executing now. Yeah. Any other questions? See, it is processed now. Now, here you can see instance, first instance, right? -1 indicates. Let us click on that to look at the metrics. This is a mapping name. See, remember, in Informatica space, we cannot execute mapping directly. Then how do you execute? So we need to convert that to a task and start getting it executed. Yeah. And now once we have a task, so we can see run ID. Run means what? First time when you run instance ID 1, next time when you run the same mapping task, instance ID will be 2. It's just like what? Run ID. Yeah. So, which means this task will be created by Informatica automatically. We don't need to do that. This is for learning purpose. But in reality, we create a mapping task or session task and start getting it called from task flows, like workflows we do, right? Like using a multiple session task. Yes or no? Same concept holds good even here also, right? And task type is a mapping, which is mapping task we call in Informatica Cloud, but in Power Center we use what? Session task. Both are one and the same. You know? And started by, see, we subscribe to this particular product, right? With some mail ID. I subscribe with this particular mail ID. So we have executed this task by using this mail ID. That's why we can see this. And start time, end time. So when it got started, when it got ended, and duration, time taken to complete this particular task. And runtime environment that we use. This runtime environment, which is an agent, which is installed in this particular system. So you can just go to command and type host, which is equal to this particular host name. Yeah. Oh, host name. Sorry, what I'm doing. See, this is a host name, right? Same thing we could able to see here. Yes or no? Yeah. On the right side, you can see status is successful. So how many rows we got it? 8 rows, no errors, which means all the rows got transferred. And if you want to take a look at the log, we can just download the session log. So we'll see that later. So we can download and look at the log. This one, yeah. In the bottom, we can see source target results like a source. 8 rows have been uh, pulled, and target. We can see what two targets here. One to capture false, second to capture the normal target here. Yeah. So that's what we can see as part of what target here. Clear, guys? That's it about metrics. Yeah. Yeah. Once it is clear, then we'll start getting into looking at the target data. So you can just observe and ask questions. Yeah. Yeah. So let us say it's clear. Now let us start getting into. So the see, we give some target, right? Target will have some location, right? Like I think Venkat was asking question. So example, let's say we give this target. Now if you want to get what is the target details, right? Go to target and click on view. Here we can get to see the target path. Can you see here? Directory, target directory, right? C colon target. Yes or no? So in that particular location, you will have we specified a file, which is what? C2F response web services. So we can look at that file, right? Go to target, C target, right? C2F response web services. Clear, no? And open that. See, we got the data, right? First, that's a header. We did not map it empty. Second is a response. That's what we wanted. 33.8. We got it. Why? Because C1 value is what? 1. For 1, we got Fahrenheit value is what? 33.8. So we can confirm that by getting into what? Formula. So Celsius to Fahrenheit, let's get formula. That's it. Yeah. So this one, right? Okay. So here you can see formula, right? 9 by 5 C plus 32. Yeah. So now we can just open this. Yeah. Here also you can supply here some value. You'll get the result, or you can open online calculator. So now we can supply. C is what? What is the formula? 9 by 5 into C. 9 divided by 5. C is what? 1, right? Plus 32. C is 33.8. Plus 32, right? We got 33.8. Same thing we could able to see over here. That's it. Which means what? We could able to get the result of what we expect. Yes or no? That's it. This is how we can understand end to end usage of what? Like how to pull the service offered by third-party portal application from Informatica Cloud. That is what we did. Yes or no? Simple example. Same thing. This is a 4, right? Same thing we can repeat. 4 means, so 9 by 5 into 4. 9 by 5 into 4 plus 33. So, oh, what happened? 9 by, I did wrong, no? 9 by 5 into 4, right? Is it 4 also? 4 on, right? It is 4 on, right? Plus 32. 39.2. I don't know what mistake I made. So 32. We got, right? Same thing. 39.2. That's it. Same thing. We can repeat it for other rows. That's all. Like how web service transformation would work to pull the service offered by third-party portal application, which is this. Yeah. Clear, right? We covered many steps. Once you play the recording, right? Slowly if you practice, no, then you'll feel it's easy. Yeah. Clear, Venkat, Sravanti, and Ajit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's enough for today because if I talk about some more, I think you'll get exhausted. I think so. We'll just spend around 1 hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes, not more than that. Yeah. If you're okay, we can continue for long hours, but it's not advisable, right? Venkat, Sravant, and Ajit.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. So, so that's all for today. If there are no questions, then we'll continue from here tomorrow at the same time with the same link, different topic. We'll start with some other topic, with a simple topic. You know, then we'll start getting into like aggregator, normalizer, joiner. We got lookup, we got expression, we got Java transformation, we got what I call hierarchy builder, hierarchy parse. We got multiple transformations. We are going to see all of them with practical examples. After that, we would also get into some data quality activities plus application integration. This is a flow of execution of this particular training program. Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks to all and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.